The wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
What's up? What's up? What's up? I think it's 6 o'clock. Let me cut my light on so y'all can see me just a little bit better. Let me put my glass on. I want to look a little educated. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think we got a guest, y'all. And I ain't gonna be petty. Yes, I am. We got a guest, and y'all can actually see him. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I'm gonna get him on right quick before his bill will come due. Cause he might, I think he in Florida. That's probably what it was. I could talk trash right now because all he can do is sit in the studio. In the green room and just listen. But y'all ain't gonna believe this brother is finally here. I don't know how it happened. I ain't gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, but I just want to say welcome to the show. It's 6 o'clock. It's the 9th of October, and I'm gonna welcome welcome my guest to the show. Since let me see how I bring him on here. Good brother. He's still in that good time living room, but I ain't gonna say nothing about that either. I ain't gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm just glad we got this brother here today. What's going on, brother? What's going on, man? Theo,
that's all I got today. That's all I got to give today.
Theo Dwayne Banks is from, he finally offered that the U.S. Marshal Protection Plan, so he had in these streets, or someone with a box TV and a messed up living room. But hey, you take favor where you can get it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. What's going on, Lisa? What's happening with you? All right, so what we're gonna do today? We got a couple of topics. We got 3 or 4 topics. Cause we gonna hold on. Let me get my clock. Cause what me and Theo working on is being just I know it sounds crazy, but we're gonna try to be just a little bit more organized. I ain't saying we're gonna commit to it and we ain't swearing to it, but we're gonna try. So the goal is to try to spend no more than 20 minutes on the subject. So, all right, y'all, we got 20 minutes. So he got a subject, but I want his to be second because I want people to get time to come in. So what we gonna do while I got him here, so we can get warmed up. All right, let me just say this. When I first met this brother, it was just on some. It was just through Facebook, and okay, that's what's up. Let's shoot me some information about your book. And you know, as I tell you a lot of time, I like people who think differently, especially if they don't think like me, and more importantly, if they can enlighten me on something. You know, it ain't even a matter sometimes of right or who's wrong. It's just a matter of a different perspective. And you know, we always talk about we from two different age groups. So sometimes I don't see what he sees, sometimes he don't see what I see. But and I can't say we disagree, because I read something as I'm mumbling. You know, when people say let's agree to disagree, you can do that with something. You can't agree to disagree with facts. And that's what I'm leading into with this. We can't agree to disagree on facts. We can agree to disagree on feelings. We can agree to disagree about who's got the best mother in the whole world, because there's no facts without it. In my world, my mom is the best mom in the world. In his world, his mom is. There's no way to dispute that. That's a feeling thing, a thought thing. But as we met and we start, you know, speaking a little bit more, and I found this brother to be highly intelligent, especially in the realm of politics. He knew way more than me, and I was trying to become educated in it. So I want to hear stuff, and I do him like I do everybody else. When he tell me something, I look it up. He tell me something, I look it up. And fellas, we're gonna get to this later. This is how you build points. For those of y'all fellas, when we get to this topic, and remember this one, Theo. When y'all get mad because your woman's questioning you or how you move or whatever, it's because you ain't built up enough credit to move without being questioned. Just because you're the man in the house or whatever, don't mean that just because you come up with an idea, she automatically got to go with it. It's the same way with regular people. When they tell you something the first 2, 3, 15 times, you do some research. The more credible they come, the easier it is to believe them. The easier it is to go along with something that they say. The easier it is not to challenge them. Even though you may still go and check, you don't challenge them as easy. So, you know, I was looking at some stuff, and again, this is.
It's right. My
you talking
hear
to
me? I can't. Yeah. Everything is going out.
Oh yeah, because it look like you're frozen. He's trying to disappear on me again. Somebody knocking at the door. It's probably Freddy Krueger.
Probably me.
Hey man, we're gonna get you off that metro. So. But as I'm looking at stuff, and I'm looking at the political climate mostly, and I saw something today, and I take it for what it's worth. But it's like, if you want to call somebody a liar, and that's cool. And even if you can point to something, the person you're comparing them to, are they the same type of liar? Are they a worse liar? Or is it the same? And in all reality, and I tell people, it doesn't matter what you're going to do, who you're going to vote for. Don't sit there and disparage one and say we can agree to disagree. There's no disagreeing about, let's just say the vice president has not made herself as accessible as some people would like her to. Let's say the vice president has not been totally transparent with some things, but she has a website that you can, if you want to know what her plan is or whatever, you can go to the website and look. I know some of you would rather hear it, and I'm cool with that. But in reality, if you want to know what somebody's saying, go look, because they'll say anything. They can say anything, and I'm sure Theo can tell you this. Even on social media, we know some of these people in real life. Their page tells a lot about them. People. I think sometimes you can learn more about people through social media, which is scary. It makes me not want to be around people than you can in regular, because they'll post things on social media, and it's like they forget it's people in real life who know them. And this whole election thing is funny to me. How it's people are losing friendships over this election because people who they thought they knew ain't who they thought they knew, and some of it is just based off the rhetoric that they push. You know, I talk about some people that I know. I don't really care who you vote for, because who you vote for is your choice. I truly believe that. Who I vote for is my choice. Theo ain't got to explain to me why he wants to vote for anybody. When me and him talk, we talk about why something is good or bad. But what he also does, and he's great at this, is he will do a comparative analysis to the other people. He won't just say, oh, this person is crap, because all candidates are crap. Ain't no getting around that. But you got to, and it is true, a lot of times you have to pick the lesser of all the evils, but compare them all evenly. And this is my thing. If you're going to compare Harris and her flip-flopping is what y'all call it. And for me, I'm gonna call it what I call it because it's growth. I'm sure there are things that Theo thought once upon a time that he don't think no more. Does that mean he flip-flopped? No, it means he got new information and he just changed his perspective. That's what adults do. Sometimes we don't have enough information to make an informed decision, and when we get it later on, it's like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that. And then we change. And I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is a blatant lie. And it's like, okay, she changed the mind on this. She changed the mind on that. I'm good with that. She won't tell y'all a definite plan on this. She won't tell. I'm good with that. That's all true. But damn, do you remember a guy who was saying Mexico was going to pay for a wall and then they didn't? Then he shut the government down to get the Americans to pay for it? Y'all probably don't remember that, but that's a fact. Government got shut down because of this stinking wall that he swore another country was going to pay for it. Before you come at me, I want y'all to just take a look around your house if you still got tags on stuff and look and see how much stuff you got comes from China. China, a lot of stuff you got comes from China. I don't care where you bought it. If you look at the little thing, it's going to say made in China. When you put a tariff on China, and yes, China theoretically pays it, but you know how they pay it? By increasing the prices. So who caused inflation really? Inflation went out the roof when the tariff went up on China. I'm just saying, if you're going to follow the numbers. And you know, the first show me and Theo did, because I asked him, because this was outside of my realm, if you look at the former president and his working staff, he had a higher turnover than McDonald's, Walmart. And that to me is a sign. And not only is a sign, but most of the people who work for him had something bad to say about him. If that ain't an indicator, I mean, is it anybody? Let's see. His and these are all his picks. And Theo, stop me if I'm wrong. His vice president said he wouldn't vote for him, that he wasn't fit for duty. Damn near every general that had anything to do with him said he wasn't fit for duty. So his secretaries have said he's not fit for duty. You got people in his inner circle, and again, he said, "Oh, I'm very good at picking people." So if you're very good at picking all these people, and none of these people would vote for you again. We don't talk about the flip-flop of Lindsey Graham, who said that he shouldn't be elected. Cruz said it. Vance said it. All these people said it. So what was their flip? So if you're going to say somebody's flip-flopping, look at the inside itself. We can't sit here and I tell you how great a guy I am, and Trina's sitting here with a black eye and a bloody nose and a police report. But, you know, Theo is he's my public relations guy. He's trying to tell you how I'm a good family man. Well, the facts say something different, and you can't ignore those. Vote for who you want to, but don't sit there and try to disparage somebody when your candidate is done more worse. Like I said, everybody, I know people who got great reasons for voting for Trump. I'm gonna go ahead and call his name as much as I hate to. I know some people who live their life that all they care about is money. That's all they care about. For them and their finances, they got no kids. All they got is money and companies. And I actually know 4 millionaires. And it's crazy. Only 3 of them are total Trumpites. Because the other ones, they have a different agenda. And we talked about this before. I'm a retiree. I got great insurance. One of my biggest things is I want, especially in Black communities, I want mental health. I want mental health. We need that. It don't affect me. I got a good insurance. But as we're talking about, what's up, Ferg? What's up, D. Barry? What's up, Sherry? How y'all doing? And as we're doing this, at some point, if we're going to become better, don't you want better for the next person? Not just for you, because we're not monoliths where I can survive on this by myself. If Theo don't come up and he hits a downtrend, statistics show if he start going down, his life is going to sway toward crime or something else, which is going to cost me money. Whereas if I do something to uplift him, then I ain't going to have the same issue. So while we're being selfish, we're doing damage to our own kind. while the rich are getting richer. And you know, he said something, and I wanted to disagree with him. I've been trying to research it. I've been trying to find something that will give me some fight back against, because I want to fight him on this. And I'm a paraphrase. And I'm gonna let him quote it directly. But where white people short, we suffer. What was your phrase, Theo?
Wherever there are white people, oppression follows.
And I can't find where it didn't happen. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not knocking white people. But
right. Well, and I like to clarify that and say where there is whiteness, oppression follows, because there whiteness as a construct, as a political construct, as an economic construct, and as a social construct is there are policies that we can point to that benefit whiteness. Just like you can be a wealthy black person who adopts white, ideals that would be considered or associated with whiteness, and reach some kind of level of success, but still be black. There are white people who could absolutely reject some forms of whiteness and still not be oppressors. So we have to be very kind of clear on that. But it's not enough of them, in my opinion, to even make that difference. But just in case there were a couple sprinkled here and there.
Right. For every Bernie Sanders, you got Elon. For every Bernie Sanders, you got 20 Elon Musk.
That part.
And
even Bernie Sanders is problematic to a degree.
Right. But he did help. And and this is one of those things, like I said, we got a few minutes, but we only succeed, if we're being honest again, we only succeed when we come up with money. Most of the money that we come up from is from those few white people who do want to help. Even if it's beneficial to them, we have to accept this. And this is why I hate when, for me personally, I'm gonna let him comment on. This is why I hate when we keep trying to divest and do everything by ourselves. We've proven that when we just leave it to us, and I know about Tulsa, but Tulsa is one community. When we leave it to us, we become more divisive. We become more divisive versus more uplifting. I gave the example when everybody wanted to give praise about that $2,000 check, which agitated the living shit out of me. But if 40 of us got together with our tax refunds, we could buy a shopping mall and not pay a landlord, and everybody can have affordable renting and ability to make money. But what's going to happen is somebody's going to have more money. It's going to take on more of the blunt. But when the proceeds come in, we want to split everything evenly, even though one person put in more, because we don't understand. We don't understand the financial dynamics of this, and this is where it's so important for us to become more intelligent versus competitive in a bad way. Yes, competitively. When Theo get his show running competitively, I'm going to want to have more viewers than he has. Competitively, he's going to want to have more viewers than I got. But guess what? I'm going to still tell y'all about his show when it's coming on, because this is a good competition. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, don't go watch that show because, no. If I push him more, he pushes me more, and this is all good pushing. This is all good competition, but this is where we can progress. So when we're going to do anything, single points of failure is one of the concepts I learned. Anytime you have a single point of failure, and single points of failure come from selfishness, then we're all going to fail because we're not striving for, oh, I want me to be the best. Theo wants me to do good. He's on my show. I want him to do good. He's on my show. I want to come on his show. This is, he's a younger me. So I hate to use word, but I'm mentoring him because in 2 weeks, y'all, I'm being in California. So he's going to run the show by himself. So he ain't going to be able to hide or nothing. I'm going to watch, but I'm going to be working. And California is 3 hours behind. So let's see. At 6 o'clock here, it'll be 3 o'clock there. So I won't even be close to getting out of work because I don't get off till 5. So by the time I get off, it'll be ending. But I'm gonna sneak a peek and watch it. But this is how we can build each other up without breaking each other down. This is how we can compete without tying each other down. But when we're looking at politics, and this one especially, stop comparing, stop letting people tell you shit that ain't true. If you live in Georgia, the governor just suspended the gas tax, which means our gas is a little cheaper. And I watch Georgia people still think that the president has something to do with gas prices. The governor has more to do with gas prices than the president, but y'all will ignore simple facts. If you live in Georgia, you know, factually speaking, we've been held with prosecuting police. We've been held with sending police to prison. And when I see Georgia people talking about what don't happen, We sent them when they kill black people, when they kill white people. Cops have been going to jail, shit, for at least 30, 40 years now. And it ain't just for killing white people. The lady on Neal Street, that was an old black lady in the projects. Those cops that were responsible for her death, they went to jail. In DeKalb County, the sheriff was killed. He was black, got killed by some more black people. They went to prison. When the DeKalb County officer was killing hobos in Rockdale County, he went to prison. And some of this y'all may not know because you don't want to know. But APD, it had Pac-Man and Reebok. Some of y'all, this older than some of y'all, they went to prison. We've been prosecuting bad cops for the longest. So for y'all to keep saying what ain't happening, it's disingenuous, and it's because you refuse to do the research. Now, why ain't it out there more? Because people don't want to publicize this, because people don't want to talk about that, because there's a point in the conversation when there's something that's winning, they'll go to something else as opposed to trying to find out more. Theo asked me a question last week. I did a show with I don't know, NAACP or SCS, one of them, they was talking about, what happens to white cops, or, white cops always doing stuff to black people, but whatever it was. But when I showed them that a black cop killed some white kids in Alabama and didn't have to happen to him, and Alabama is still a racist state. And I ain't saying that's the norm, but there are times when it happens. There are times. If we're going to have arguments about something, let's make the arguments fair. Don't be so one-sided in your statement that you're not willing to hear anything else. And that's how me and Theo got to this point, because he introduced me to some shit I frankly didn't know. And I like that. Ferg is on the show. Well, he's in the thing. Ferg was my arch nemesis for quite a long time. But I respected his intelligence. You like him, and I don't have to like you to respect your intelligence. But there's nothing that anybody who I respect can say that is going to make me denounce their friendship. And I think with this election, what is it shown us is, because I learned this the hard way. There were a lot of people who I had faith in. And when I saw the reason that they were voting for the other guy, it told me that they were racist. Because for you to argue that he's not a racist, and you can sit there and point to fact after fact after fact, and they want to argue what he did for the country and what he and you ask them the same questions they ask about the VP. Give me a specific plan that he did that you thought was successful. Give me a specific, and they can't. Then they want to flip it back. Tell me something that he did specifically, because I've done the research. We can't talk about COVID. We can't talk about, again, Theo, help me out. Realistically speaking, the first 2 years of any presidency, the financial situation is a result of the last president.
Whoever was leaving.
Okay, so when he stepped into this great economy, it was because he inherited a great economy. And we know that Obama didn't inherit a great economy. So, and I ain't saying, don't get it twisted now, I ain't saying that the Biden-Harris team has done a lot for the economy. I ain't finna go there. But they started off with shit. I remember when everybody keep talking about, remember when gas prices this, I remember when hospitals were overwhelmed. No matter how you feel about the jab or none of that, hospitals were overwhelmed simply because one man who knew more decided not to tell us how deadly the disease was. And I personally believe, had he come out with that and asked us to shelter in place for 30 days just to get through it, I believe it would have been a whole lot better off than exposing so many people.
And he would have got reelected.
Say it again?
And for good or bad, he would have got reelected.
I think so, but how hard would that have been for us to shelter in place for 30 days and try to get under control, as opposed to him saying, oh, it's going to be over with by Easter? That lie in and of itself, it ain't worth the price of gas to me. These are facts. This is what he did. It came out in the book. And man, I hate paying for books, but I'm going to have to pay for this book, War, that Woodward is coming out with, that's spilling all the tea on everybody. Normally, I like to get all my stuff on Amazon or Amazon Prime, but I may have to get that book and read it. So this is all I'm saying. When you're going to argue a point, be prepared for both sides and be open-minded. Stop letting your personal biases stop you from interpreting factual data as it is, just because you don't want to say, I was wrong. Because you don't have to be wrong. Sometimes it's just ignorance. You just didn't know. You just didn't know. And it's okay. It's actually okay to be ignorant sometimes. You don't always have to know. You don't. And it's okay. And we have to accept that. This is Petty Reggie. I'm gonna let you. I'm not even gonna acknowledge you, Petty Reggie. But this is where we are. Like I say, Theo became my friend because he had his own mind. He could sit there and debate. Neither one of us was simps or do-boys or none of this stuff. Everybody liked to call each other when you're there. And you ain't have to take the vaccine. You know, people like, oh, they made us take the vaccine for this. And you know why they made us take the vaccine? And I'm gonna go off this is because that guy lied. Because had we done the shelter in place, we probably could have got around it. He helped spread it with his random ignorance. Because see, Petty Reggie, nobody wants to talk about how many Secret Service members lost time because they got infected. They had to be quarantined when he got it. What's the guy's name that hate him the most right now, Theo?
Pence?
No, somebody hated more than Pence. The one who caught COVID from him. The heavyset guy, he ran for president.
Was it Chris Christie?
Chris Christie. Chris Christie used to be his boy. Chris Christie can't stand it. He know where he got it from. When he did it, come on, Reggie, don't do this. He knew what was going on. All he had to do was say, hey, we're going to shelter in place until we see what it is. Obama had 3 and nothing happen. Nothing happened. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. And then we're going to come back and we got another topic we're going to come up. Because I'm going to do my best to stick to this 20 minutes. And Petty Reggie, until you ready to do your skit, Petty Reggie from the streets, hit me up after the show, Cole. We're going to talk because you've been invited to do your own segment. Hold on, let me see. Let me figure out how to get these commercials again. I'm not finna get, what's the word? I'm not finna get triggered by you, Petty Reggie. I'm not. We'll be back in 25 seconds. I was gonna say, where he go to that quick? So, tell us what's going on in your world right quick.
Man, well, first of all, let me say this, man. My heart goes out to anyone who has relatives or loved ones in Florida right now, Tampa in particular. It's crazy times, man. I always say, I've been saying, not always, but I've been saying this of late. Earth is not a real place, and there's just been so much going on. I've been kind of trying to understand this phenomenon of alpha, and I think COVID, because everybody was sitting down, that period was kind of we experienced this uptick in this tossing around of this term alpha. And I think in our community, it was kind of made more popular by Kevin Samuels. Obviously, we know that, the red pill space existed before he did, but before he kind of came to fame. But he's considered the Godfather, right? And I was pretty critical of Kevin Samuels when he first came on the scene. I made sure that before I was critical, and I'm still critical, God rest his soul, but I'm still critical of some of the things that he kind of, some of the ideas he championed because of the impact that it's had on culture and conversations around like gender roles and just courting and dating and all those things. And so I've been really just dealing with this idea of like alpha, and what it means to be an alpha male. We kind of make alpha male this standard, this like it's something that should be desired by all men. And I think that we have I think that's a false premise to operate on. You kind of had mentioned this a couple seconds ago when you were saying, when we get into our debates back and forths. We don't go into the whole, oh, that's beta. I remember coming across this clip of Kevin Samuels. I actually watched about 12 hours of his footage before I became critical of him, because I'm big on that. Like, if I'm going to, you can't be someone that I really admire, and I can't defend you if I need to your detractors. And also, if I can't see where you might have, some areas where, it's not as strong. Like, anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Dr. King fan. Like, I'm just a huge fan of the guy. But I can also tell you, I can go down to probably like 3 or 4 solidly, bad things, or not even bad things, but just things he's believed, or strategies he employed that didn't serve anybody. And so I don't believe that. I don't believe, number one, I take the word fan back. I don't believe you can admire someone or follow someone or be influenced by someone that you can't be critical of. And I learned that from my experience just growing up in I call it growing up mega. I grew up in a mega church, and mega churches tend to have a cult-like atmosphere. And even as recently as today, I was talking to a friend of mine. All of my close friends, we all went to either the same mega church or a mega church in general. And we were talking about how glad we are that we are not in that silo anymore. I have a friend of mine from middle school who knew, so we ended up going to separate high schools, and he had a girlfriend that went to the high school that I ended up going to. And she was talking to him about the time she saw me get ready to fight someone. And it was me defending my pastor at the time. And he told me about this maybe 2 years ago. And I remember when I was in that mindset, well, I'll cut your ear off about my pastor. And so the further and further I have gotten away from groupthink and being stuck in silos. Like, we all have our perspective, we all have our leanings, but I have not been in a silo for quite some time. But the further I got out the silo, the easier it is for me to receive knowledge, to process information, and not be married to a position to the extent that I can't be moved from it. And so I apply that to, and I'm actually critical of people who are or fan bases, or like the Beehive, or the Kevin Samuel lights. The fan bases just, they bug the shit out of me, because most of those people, they identify in these they identify so heavily through these figures that they become like these kind of demigods to them. So going back to this alpha male kind of premise, and I've come to the conclusion that being an alpha male is a myth. And I actually kind of wrote a little bit of an essay. What did Kevin say wrong? Well, Kevin said a lot of things right. Let me start there. Kevin Samuel said a lot of things that were right. So I'm not here to this isn't even about Kevin Samuels. He's just kind of like the Michael Jordan of alpha males, black alpha male speak. But he said a lot of things that were right. But there were a lot of points that he made that were just parroting talking points of white men. When he goes on about this is not the premise of what I'm about to speak on, but I can go there. When he goes on about how men built society, and we are responsible for blah 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 blah. And, the women just don't appreciate us. I get it. Like, as a man, I understand what it means to feel unappreciated. But if you dig a little deeper rather, he's literally saying making some of the same points that Jordan Peterson made when he was debating Michael Eric Dyson. And in that debate, they were talking about the credence of structural racism, whether or not it's an actual thing that exists. And so a lot of Kevin Samuels' points were rooted in this very white male, Eurocentric viewpoint. They were just repackaged as, this call to masculinity, for Black men, as if we aren't masculine, as if we don't have these beliefs and these viewpoints that are unique unto our own community. But they were kind of rebranded as that. And so I had, whenever I can take your viewpoint, when I hear somebody who becomes a public figure and they don't necessarily have like a background, like he's not a sociologist, he's not an anthropologist, like he's not, that wasn't his bag. But whenever I can take your viewpoint and mute, or not mute you, but take your viewpoint, if I can put your viewpoint inside of a white supremacist, then that's when I start to dig a little deeper. And it's no different from Kanye West. Like Kanye West, I am a huge fan of his art, but I can take some of his viewpoints and I can insert them into a white supremacist and you wouldn't know the difference. And so when I heard Kevin Samuels, some of his points about being alpha, actually he said that he wasn't an alpha. He actually admitted that he was not an alpha, and that 95% of males are not alpha. It actually goes against our very nature to even be alpha. And I don't know if the path that men are trying to go on to expand this definition of manhood and masculinity jives with this idea, this alpha archetype. I don't know if those things really go together. I'm just gonna, I wrote my thoughts out, and I actually do better with writing my thoughts out. So I wrote this essay, and I'm not going to hold y'all long about it. It's called "The Myth of the Alpha Male: Origins, Feminism, and the Marginalization of Progressive." Now, I admittedly identify politically as a left of left. I'm a king liberal. I am more liberal than any Democrat, today. I think that Dr. King would have been critical of any Democrat that we kind of come to admire and make as the symbols of like progressive ideas. As far as my views on gender roles, I'm traditional with a progressive kind of leaning. So in other words, I don't believe so ideally how my household is run, I don't believe in 50-50, but not because going 49-51 makes me the man and her have to be in my, be at my service. Or if she's doing 51 and I'm doing 49, then it makes me less of a man. That's not the reason I don't believe in 50-50. But I kind of try to apply balance. I don't believe that gender roles, when it comes to like the practical everyday stuff, cleaning, cooking, all those different things, I don't believe that we should just assign certain things to people, to your partner, just because they have some vulva or because he got a penis, right? So I'm not married to these kind of hard ideas or concepts of gender performance. But that being said, what I have encountered over the last maybe 3 to 5 years is there is this space. I'm not reading the comments. I haven't gotten to the point where I can read the comments and make my point, but I'm totally okay with addressing them as they come up. So if y'all want to do that, that's fine. I'm still learning this thing, y'all. As a progressive man, I found that there's no space for the progressive male. In other words, let social media tell it. If you are a man who does not believe that if you are a man who's not alpha, then you're beta. But if you are a man who is alpha, then you're a misogynist, right? Like if you let social media inform all of your kind of viewpoints. And I think we should do away with this idea of being alpha And I think the goal should be balance. And balance doesn't mean, I did the dishes, 3.5 times this week, and you did the dishes the other 3.5 times this week. I am simply talking about the inner work that we do to challenge our own positions on things like why do I give my daughter certain lessons that are different from my son? Where does that come from? If I'm giving them different advice based on their genders, then I have to now confront my own kind of, maybe there is some sexism in there, or maybe there's a practical reason why I'm giving my daughter advice, different advice versus advice that I would give my son. So that being said, I'm going to go to this, just a part of this thing that I've been kind of working on called the myth of the alpha male. So the idea of the alpha male has captivated the collective consciousness for decades, particularly within male-centric spaces that are increasingly defined by terms like red pill, high-value man, and toxic masculinity. But at its core, this myth portrays the alpha male as the dominant, assertive, and often aggressive leader. And he's celebrated for his success in social, professional, romantic arenas. However, this cultural archetype is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of both evolutionary biology and societal dynamics, which is further complicated by the ongoing waves of feminism. So in other words, we've had several waves of feminism, right? And I make this point pretty much every time we do one of these things. As a quote unquote geriatric millennial, I'm Gen X adjacent, right? So I'm at the tail end of all things that were traditional and at the very beginning of our break from tradition. I became an adult while we were on an active social fault line. In other words, everything began to shake. Our views on sex, our views on sexuality, our views on the economy, our views on education. All those things begin to be undone as I became an adult. All right. So what do you do when you've been kind of groomed to become a traditional, breadwinner? I remember when I was coming up, because of what I saw at home, I always had the idea, well, I definitely want a woman who has like a career, like a Claire Huxtable type, but I'm going to be the breadwinner, right? Well, as I actually became an adult, I became an adult when women in my age range were at the beginning of the third wave of feminism. And so the second wave of feminism is what kind of informed all of my views on, gender roles and gender performance. But the third wave of feminism, it has created what we would call masculine, some men would call masculine women, right? And so even my idea around being the breadwinner, and that was just kind of understood, then you actually you're in these situations and in these dynamics, and you're like, hold up, man, these women making money out here. Like all the women make, like, I don't know women who don't have earning potential, right? And so if your entire identity as a man is built on these two principles, provider and protector, but the world has shifted to a place, where the woman can actually be a provider, right? And not only that, her ability to provide is now it doesn't complement you as a provider. Now those things become contentious, right? You start to have to find your place in that climate, and I believe that progressive male within the last 20 to 25, 30 years, we have not known where we don't know what our footing really is. But I believe that it is we will be going back 50 years, being set back 50 years if becoming an alpha male is becomes our like goal, because being an alpha male is actually a myth. Like this, like the study. There was a whole study that was done on this idea of, you know, being an alpha male, and it was based in he wasn't a psychologist, but he was a scientist that had observed wolves, the behavior of wolves, and he took from that within the kind of wolf social dynamic, there was a alpha wolf. Well, in reality, that's actually not how wolves interact, right? But he took that and he then applied that to how males tend to be. So, you know, when you get in male groups, the common belief is that eventually an alpha will emerge, but we're really social creatures. Like, we're human, like as the human design, humans are designed to be social creatures. Yes, leaders will emerge, but everybody is not going to be that leader among men, like or like leader of men, or just like the whole concept of like this hierarchy. It's just not even a human. That is not a part of our experience as humans. We should actually kind of eventually stamp that out of our experience. And I think what society is observing as the feminization of men and the masculinization, I don't know if it's a word, of women, is really humans, maybe in not a conscious way, but it's humans saying to each other and to ourselves, this shit ain't working. You know, being an alpha male doesn't add years to my life. In fact, I'll put it like this: aspiring to be an alpha male does not add years to my life. It's not making me happier. It's actually having an impact on my mental health. In other words, like there's a reason men are more successful at committing suicide. We live more isolated lives. You know, you can be on a group chat with your homie and he not know you're suicidal that day, right? Because all of us on some level, whether it's conscious or whether it's on a subconscious level, we are the goal is to become alpha. The goal is to be the king of your castle. And I think that gender roles and gender performance, it's all being challenged during this period, and it's going to work itself out, I believe. But we have been in this, again, active fault line for the last 25, 30 years. And it's creating this tension. And for the progressive male, there is no place for him to lay his head. You know, so this is an ongoing, kind of, I guess, series or just kind of unpacking. But I really want to, my goal is to bring these matters, like kind of put ourselves in front of ourselves and then challenge the things that are not working for us, and then keep the shit that is working for us. And that doesn't mean that that men gotta, start painting our nails and not taking out trash and don't know how to fight no more. Like, that doesn't mean that, but it absolutely does not mean that we all should be aspiring to be alpha, because that in and of itself is a myth. That's all I got for that point.
All right, before I take a break, I want to address a couple of things, because you said a lot. First of all, I'm a Kevin Samuels fan. Okay. But I'm an original fan, because what happens with Kevin Samuels is a lot of people never went to the beginning. As usual, a lot of guys pick the parts that they like. But if you weren't a true Kevin Samuels fan, you will miss the beginning where he challenged black men to step their game up. Right. A lot of us missed that. Women were gluttons for punishment, because if you start off at the beginning of Kevin Samuels, you will see a lot of men called in, and he went in on them. Way harsher. Yeah. Men just stopped calling. They didn't want none of that smoke. Right. Women kept doing it for their 5 minutes of fame, because if you know what Kevin Samuels was about, and it's kind of like and I hate to use this comparison, but it's like understanding Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. A lot of people read stuff and they repeat what they heard, but you truly didn't know them because you never saw the paradigm shift, and they shifted who they were. That's how when people start talking about, I know they know what they're talking about, because you can't keep saying this. Malcolm didn't stay at that aggressive, violent level that we all portray him as. Right. He went here. King didn't stay at that peace, love, and happiness. He went there. Right. So if you follow Kevin Samuels, and I did, because he was part of the reason that I decided to step my game up, that I don't believe in 50-50, because at the end of the day, somebody needs to be the decision maker. Because if it's 50-50 and it's only two of us, we're gonna always be here. And when I started off the show about earning the right to be the decision maker, that's not based on an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. That's based off behavior. That's based off a mental concept. And for the men who want to be alpha, and I'm gonna get to that. For the men who want to be alpha, that's an earned thing. Because if we watch the shows that tell us what we want to hear, the alpha earns his role by first protecting his clan. That's the first thing. Not by just showing up on the scene. He has to protect his whole clan. And it seems like most of the guys who claim alpha miss that. If you are by yourself, if you are single, if you don't have a girlfriend, children, you don't qualify as an alpha. There's nothing you're protecting. Nothing. So what are you doing? And it's crazy. If you truly study, because I did this too, if you truly study the alpha male by definition, you know who's an alpha? A pimp is an alpha. He rules with fear. He has people up under him. He don't want nobody up. He is purely selfish, which is why you hear a lot of women now who understand they don't want an alpha male. Alpha males are selfish. It is about them. Ain't about nobody else. They're not doing it for the good of the clan. They're doing it for their own selfish reasons. I want these women and nobody else can have them. I want this, nobody else can have it. They're not trying to build for the community, which is why, I've learned. It sounds cute. And it's got its roots in the whole, with us, it started with the whole Greek thing, alphas and omegas, oh, my alpha man. And yeah, whatever. But if you study the process, if you study what the nature people tell you, they'll tell you now that the alpha male in animal kingdom is actually at the back of the pack. He's not the one that's leading, because they found this ain't it. But we don't like that construct. We want to stick with our, as we talked about earlier, we want to stick with our belief, not facts. And when we see something that's different, we don't want to adapt to that fact, because I'm an alpha male. And I tell people, even if you believe the best about alpha males, if you got to tell people you're not it, you're not it. I guarantee you, me, Theo, Petty Reggie, we ain't never got to walk into a room and say I'm a black man. We never got to walk into. So and it's crazy. I had a teacher, Mr. Fuse, and he was introducing himself, and he told us his name. He didn't say Mr. Fuse. He said, I forgot what his first name was. He said, my name is Hare Fuse, yada yada yada. And one of the students said, why don't you call yourself Mr. Fuse? He said, because you know who I am. So as a sign of respect, you're going to call me Mr. Fuse, but that's not my name. My name is Hare Fuse. He said, and as soon as I meet people, when they introduce themselves as Mr., I just look at them funny and I refuse to talk to them. It's different with a doctor or somebody who has went to school to earn a title. If you want to be called professor, if you want to be called, you've earned the right to do that. We don't, in theory, we don't earn the right to be called Mr. It's just it's a gene thing. And it's funny because I've met people, when they meet you, it's like, hey, I'm Mr. So-and-so. And I just be like, that's some funny shit. And either you think I'm stupid, or in my mind now, you're super insecure that you feel the need to introduce yourself as Mr. Because I know what you are. I know what you are. So why do you need to tell me that you're Mr. Banks? You think I don't have a clue? But you see these guys that puff their chests out and I'm this, I'm that. Not sure everybody look at me. Well, they do the same thing for clowns. I'm not sure what you're saying, because whenever we see a clown, we stop and look at the clown. We stop and look. I'm just saying. But the whole fake alpha male alpha thing, where you want to be it so bad, it's like anything else. You can't pronounce yourself an alpha. In the truest sense, the community will make you alpha, and you'll know because when you come in, people start making accommodations for you. You walk into a room, people get up, they come to you to speak to you. You're that guy. You're that guy. I'm sure when Denzel walks into a room, nobody has to say, "Hey." He doesn't walk around saying, "Hey, I'm Mr. What's his name? Washington. I'm Mr. Washington." I bet he walks to the room, smiling and everything. He'll sit in the first chair he find, but I guarantee people are getting up to give him a seat. And if we're speaking in reality terms, what has Denzel done to show his machismo? Who did he beat up? He don't fight in movies. He's calm. He's compassionate. He's more of a negotiator. He gets respect,
but he's also in movies. So we really have never encountered Denzel, the man. We don't know him.
We know he's been married to the same woman for 20,000 years, but our image of him is as that guy.
Right.
And we've seen all these action people, but Denzel is the one who garners the most respect. If Denzel and what's his name, Dwayne Johnson walk into a room, I bet Denzel gets the bulk of the respect.
Sure.
Even though Dwayne did more, he always fighting and he the biggest one. Then I guarantee when Denzel walk in the room, there's a hushed tone and everybody's whispering and pointing. Who's the
let me ask you
in our construct, who's the alpha male? Is it the bigger, protective looking guy or the guy who's actually in charge? And I think, sometimes with our fragile male egos, we want to be in charge so much that we say it, what they say, fake it till you make it.
Yes.
And when you brought up the subject, and it's funny because somebody else say hit me up talking about something. And I was like, I'm gonna see if I can tie these in. And it's like, in reality, what's the purpose of being an alpha male? What does it produce? From my standpoint, Trump is a typical alpha male. It's all about him. It's all about him and nobody else. He's not a team player. We try to put it in the construct of athletes, the top dog. That's the alpha male. Like I said, because we'll change definitions to fit what we want them to, even when we learn that the definition ain't as good as we thought it was.
I was going to say there was a time. I remember there was a time when being considered alpha was actually considered like you were kind of a oof. You were kind of an ogre, like a kind of just brute. You don't you're not sophisticated. You're not really worldly. And men and women actually rejected that. You're like a Johnny Bravo type guy. It was a joke to be even called an alpha. Right, because like I said, you're not about your team. There's some good things that alphas do, but and I forgot, it's actually 6 categories. I think Sigma is the one that most men should probably aspire to be. I think that's it. Because you do care about your family. You don't mind if your woman leads, because sometimes, and this is the funny part, you got a better idea. She just knows more than you.
But sometimes we don't feel good. We're not at our best.
Mm-hmm.
If we choose right, our partner will be able to uplift us. And there was a post where the guy was like, my woman, I don't deal with a woman who challenged me when I say this is this. And my thing was, why'd you pick her? Why'd you pick a woman whose opinion you don't respect? Because A, she may have a little something that will improve your idea, or B, she may just have a better idea altogether. I said, but this is a prime example when I say men are way more emotional than women. Because she asked you a question. If we, and you're a great person for this. When we come up with an idea, if it's a good idea, what's the one something that we don't mind? We don't mind being questioned about it because we can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't explain it, that's the only time you hate when people question you. Unless it's an emergency, when you're given an idea, you should be able to have some reasons why. And whoever your partner or your teammates are, you want them to help you refine it to make it a better idea. If you don't want to be challenged, that means your thoughts are incomplete and you ain't thought them through. And don't get me wrong, we've done that before because sometimes you got to think on the fly. But when you have a history of making good decisions, guess what you get? You get less resistance from your team. When I was in the military, and you hear military people talk about all the time, there are certain sergeants that we will follow to the ends of hell because we know he got a plan to get us through hell. There were other sergeants I wouldn't follow through a grocery store door because I believe the door is locked and they too stupid to realize it. Because you see the decisions that they make, and if something goes wrong, they right there on it. They ain't looking to blame nobody. They just like say, all right, no sweat, we got this. And most of us have worked for that person. That when shit hit the fan, they don't blame you. They just figure out the solution to keep going. And if it ever becomes public, the first thing they'll say is, yeah, I made a mistake. I didn't make the right choices. Because if Theo works for me, I can't say, well, Theo gave me the bad information. As a leader, as this alpha, I'm supposed to say, you know what? I just messed it up. I made a bad choice, and I just need to do better next time. When you look at the Tom Brady's, when you look at even Michael Jordan, who did Michael Jordan ever blame for losing the game? Who did Tom Brady ever blame for losing the game? And these are the 21st century alpha males that we want to aspire to be. But when you look at them, you know, well, Mike say it again.
But do we?
Well,
See, I would challenge. They're not
these are the ones that claim to be alphas. But
of course, yeah.
Mike had a little violence in, but Tom, unless it was competitive, Tom was a pretty passive guy. Now, when it came to competition, Tom was that dude. But we can't point to no great decisions, as you said, in life that he's made. But under stress, 28-3, y'all, he never looked bothered. You didn't see him look panicked. He never looked bothered. And that's what we look for in a leader. And leaders and alphas ain't always the same. And I think that's the issue. And to end this on this, what a lot of us want, and us by being men, this is I think what bothers me more than anything else nowadays. Men want to be accepted more by men than women. And as Trina always said to me, you know, when we want to just end an argument, when we got this, you know, I say something and the man come on there, oh, you just trying to get women in your inbox. And Trina made the eloquent statement, and I stopped. This is my go-to friend. Who are you trying to, ladies, I don't mean no disrespect, but when men are going at this, the question is, who are you trying to get a blowjob from? Theo or this woman? Shit. And it makes sense. Why do I care what Theo thinks so much in my home life? He ain't got nothing to do with this. And you see these guys who are, what's up? Vivian, why you on the show? I got a restraining order against you. But why do I care so much what Theo thinks about what I'm doing in my home world? Why does he care what I think? He should care about what the people in his household think. But in this new social media thing, it's all about likes and clicks and people saying things that make me feel good. Because every time I say, oh, you're just trying to get these women in your inbox. Well, who else would I want in my inbox? I don't want you in there. Yeah, of course. And you know, don't let the conversation fool you. Me and Theo, we're both in relationships, so just take this in generality. If we were single, you know who we would want in our inbox? We would want some of these cute women that follow us.
Right.
That is actually who we're trying to appeal to. We don't care if, I'm sure he don't care if you agree with him or not. This is his world. He's got to live it the best way he knows how. If I agree, fine. If I don't agree, fine. As my friend Peter Regis said, if Trump win the election, he gonna buy a Ferrari. If Kamala win, he gonna buy a Ferrari. Neither one of them is gonna affect his life. And that's what we got to realize sometimes. When I see these guys vying to be alpha of the year, they just strike me as simple-minded dudes who just can't get enough credibility in the free world. They come to social media to get it. And there's a whole group of them, which is why now we compare social media to IRL in real life. In real life, when does this happen? In real life, when does this happen?
Well, let me take that point to so this is one of the things that I started when I was kind of digging a little bit deeper into Kevin Samuels, and when he first started introducing this term high value man, it sounds like every man should desire to be a high value man, right? But then when he started to define it, all I started thinking about was what it takes to really get the recognition of other men. Typically, you are dealing in some form of like machismo, you know, like there are certain conversations that certain common things that groups of men are going to discuss when we get together. It's going to be women, cars, sports, and money. Those four things, and the definition of high value is a very surface kind of understanding of what it means to be to even evolve. And so that's why I think the work for men to do is to just evolve, like just continue to peel back those layers, continue to continue the process of coming out of that cocoon and becoming that butterfly. Is probably the most feminine metaphor I could ever use. But even to that point, right? Like, who cares? Like I don't it doesn't, me becoming alpha and even me watching another man who society might consider alpha has no material impact on my life if I'm aspiring to do it, or in his life if I'm watching him do it. And so I feel like we need to toss the term alpha, high value, red pill, all that stuff out of this dialogue and start talking about evolving and becoming more balanced human beings. And then we can start to assign or reassign what our roles are based on our strengths as men and as women. Like, there are certain things that men should do simply because we have more physical strength than women. We we should be the ones that are doing most of the fighting. We should be the ones that are checking the garage, when there's a noise in the garage. We should be the ones that are doing that, simply because we have the strength advantage, but not because it makes us more alpha to be that. And so I always push back on these terms that like get kind of tossed into pop culture, and they lose their meaning, or we don't even really know what they mean to begin with. It's just the person who said it seemed cool to us. Just like the word idiot. The word idiot used to be like an actual term and like an actual diagnoses. And now I call everybody idiot. When I'm on the road, I call you an idiot, if you cut me off. But that's not that wasn't the origin. And of course, words change and evolve. But as you were talking, I was thinking about the messages that men tell ourselves. Like, what am I telling myself about who I am as a man in different scenarios? I always go back to this time. It was probably about maybe 12, 14 years ago. And I had this part, it was a part-time job. It was like right coming out of the recession. It was recession-ish. And I had a part-time job working at after school program. And I was dating this girl. She was a teacher. And she wanted to like get a condo together. And I said, you're gonna be looking at me real crazy when I'm bringing this part-time after school money check to the pot every month. So let's kind of like let's pump our brakes on this. Let me get myself together, right? And there was a time where resentment started to settle in with her, because she didn't think that my job seeking efforts were strong enough or fast enough. And I remember the day after I got the job that was paying me right on par with what she was earning, I said, yesterday I was a man, right? Yesterday I was a man. Yesterday I was a man with a part-time job. Today I am a man with a salaried position that makes just as much as you do. So there is nothing about me that has changed materially other than my employment status. And I think the most courageous thing a man can do is take all of that pressure off of himself to become something in service of others and figure out what's his path. What is the most evolved version of myself look like on January 9th, 2025? And how can I get to that point? Like, I came up with this term local sex symbol a few years ago, because I was settling into my dad bod. Right. I mean, I'm in it real. I'm tough now. I'm solidly in my dad bod right now. But I was losing some confidence. I was just like, I ain't really moving like I, really used to be able to, like, as far as just how you feel about yourself, just how you showing up. So I came up with this term local sex symbol because I don't gotta be an international sex symbol. I ain't gotta be Denzel. I can just be a local sex symbol, right? And it's kind of tongue in cheek, but I believe that men we place we place pressure on ourselves, black men in particular. We have number one, black men have two archetypes. Either you are a magical Negro or you're not a human. But most of us are right in the middle, right? We have a faction of us who operate on these very base levels, right? Along with all other groups. But then we have this other faction of us that's like the Jordans and the LeBrons and the Martin Kings and the John Henrik Clarks, all these super damn near magical Negroes, and you can pressure yourself in one or two of these directions, or you can try to figure out, okay, how can I become a more? I don't have to leave this huge imprint in the world. I can set in motion the things that will make smaller imprints turn into one big imprint long after I'm gone. I can set those wheels in motion, and that's okay. And I think black men have to decide like what's okay with us without us also saying I'm settling. I got to have this super duper, not really goal, but this super duper, vision of myself. I got to achieve that. I got to become all of that in order to even have some base level of substance, or something, not substance, but some base level of value to myself. And then that reflects back out into the world, right? We talked about sex and sexuality like 3 episodes ago, and this is all a part of challenging that for me. It's not because it's not so you can make space to land one way or the other as far as your sexual orientation is concerned. It is so you can strip away any kind of semblance of pressure to be anything other than the evolved version that you're going to have to work to be. So I'm a dad, right? But who was I before I had kids? Who am I when I am the single man who don't have anybody that I'm looking after? When it's just, can I be an alpha in my own home when it's just me? I don't know. And if I can't be, maybe being the alpha isn't really the goal, because I know what I can do when I'm by myself. I can get better. I can just get better.
And the thing is, and you touched on a lot of it, is at some point, and I compare us to women in this aspect. When a woman is going through something, she's got friends, and some of them are actually good friends who will help her get through it. We in general don't know how to pick the right group of friends, because part of what you were saying is what most of us have went through, and we realize, you know what, I need a better group of friends. Because the people I've been calling friends, guys especially, are not uplifting. They're actually more demeaning and more damaging to me than the women are, because they have a false construct of what I should be, and some of it is just to make them feel better. You should be doing this when you find out they're not doing the same shit. Oh, you should be doing this. Oh, and it's like, why? Because when we talk about high value men, because I looked at that, what's a high value man? And it depends on what he values, because what's high value for Trina may not be high value for Beyonce, may not be high value for Vivian. So that's something that I have to do for myself, because I believe, this is my own belief, that most men, real men, aren't ready for a relationship if they're not financially stable, because we feel less than, because that's something that's innate. It ain't something that somebody told us, because we know clearly they're a bunch of hobo ships. But most of us still feel, it's like the example you was given. You felt the shot of confidence once you had a job that paid more. You felt like you could make better moves. And I think that's a lot the way that a lot of us men feel. Dudes, and I love to separate them, dudes don't care. Dudes don't mind living off a woman. Most of the men that I qualify as real men, they don't want to live off of a woman. They don't. They just feel less than, because, and it doesn't make you less than. I mean, hell, if Oprah decided she want me, would I turn Oprah down just because she make more money than me? And it's my truest belief that the man should pay the mortgage. In my world. So if Oprah want one of these houses where the rent is $600,000 a month, then I just need her to give me a job where I can make $620,000 a month. But But you know that's the mental concept that I placed on me being a man. But what if you met a woman and she loved you and she became what if your girl became a megastar? All of a sudden she making $2-3 million a year. Are you gonna dump her now because she can afford more than you can? And it's like, where's your mental concept? Are you okay with her making more? Because as we learn as we get older, money don't make you. It's still in my world, it's the decision-making skills that allow you to be the alpha or the head of household, because that's what I prefer to call it, the head of household. That's not a money issue. Who makes the best decisions? You know, it's like I was telling Trent, sometimes there are decisions that I'm gonna make that will benefit you. They don't benefit me, but there are times when I need for you to be more happy than me. There are times, you know, we need this, this, and this. The decision I'm making has got to be the best decision for the household, not for me, which is what I think alphas do. They make the best decisions for them. But once you get to that point, and we need to collaborate more so that I can pick up on your strengths and weaknesses and help you to identify both. And when you're feeling down, I need to push you more about your strengths to tell you what you're good for, not what you should be doing to get better. These are because you need a lift. You don't need a kick right now. And this is where we have to learn to pick who we go to better, because sometimes we don't know who to go to. Sometimes we go to who was around us, and that's not necessarily what's best for us. I had a client once, and you know, he just, you know, for some reason he wanted to have a heart-to-heart with me. And he asked me, he said, "You don't like some of the people in my circle, do you?" I was like, I don't. And he's like, "Why?" I said, "Have you ever noticed that when you throw events, they'll come and spend your money?" I said, "But when you're, you know, because we went a couple of events and you had a budget." I said, "But did you notice when the money started running low, they started disappearing? And you blamed it on them having to go home. They didn't go home. They just left where you were because you weren't paying for them anymore." I said, "Have you noticed that nobody ever offers to buy you a drink? Nobody ever offers to do anything for you, but they wait back for you to offer to do stuff for them?" He's like, "Nah, I didn't pay no attention to that." I said, "You know, these are your friends. I ain't telling you what, I'm just telling you what I noticed. They love you when you got something and you're doing it for them." So he had another event, and I said, you know, and I said, have another, and don't spend no money. When you next time you go out to the club and you let everybody know, don't spend no money and see what happens. You know, "Hey man, you ain't buying bottles tonight. You ain't." I said, "Because they're using you." I said, "You know, and I ain't got a problem. If that's what you want out of life, that's cool. But when you ask me why I don't like him, it's because of this. Because to me, he was a good dude, and he didn't see that. He saw him being helpful to everybody, you know. And I get it. You want to help those who don't have as much. Understand when you're helping and when they're using you, though. When it's like, if let's just say I'm a big wig, and I say, "Yo, Theo, hey, you know, you and your girl come to this event, and then you and your girl, and you bring 6 more friends. What's up? Oh, well, you got the money. It shouldn't even be a big." See, now you're taking advantage of the situation. I invited you, think you were my friend. You invite your other ones because you're using me to pop yourself up, and that's when you have to start looking at people. Remember, and I'm gonna touch on this. We're gonna take a commercial break. But remember, we had a conversation a long time ago. Things weren't good in either one of our world, but we had a long conversation. That was what tied us together. And I tell people this, at that time, I really didn't know you, but I recognized what you said. And I felt the need to reach out to you. How you took it was how you took it. And that was the impetus on us becoming friends, even though we still don't hang out. If you were to call me something, I'm gonna be there. If I call you, I believe you answer and talk to me. Even though you text me like 3 minutes before the show, but that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's things like this. When people are there who don't have to be there, it ties you because they're doing it for good reasons. And this is, as men, for us to start knowing our worth, we have to be around other men, not males, men who understand this and they don't compare us. They can accept us for who we are and help us to become better at who we are, because everybody's not. I do this show, and you know, I ain't supposed to say it's a little show because little is condescending, but I do this show, and people have said, "Oh man, you should be on mainstream this," and it's cute, but that's not what I want to do. So if you to try to push that for me because that's where you see me, well, right now I got too many other things going. But there are people who will try to tell you, "Oh, you should do more. You should do more." Well, I can push you to do more because I know that's what you want to do. You want to do chasing hustles. So yeah, this is the perfect venue to push you. But why would I call you out the blue and tell you, hey man, you should do this? You ain't never expressed no interest in it. I'm almost setting you up for failure to do something that you don't want to do because I think you should do it. And this is where we have to become better at not being alpha males and this shit, getting rid of the titles. Just be a better leader, be a better person, be the best you can be. And because at the end of the day, it's like I tell people, I hate the whole king queen shit. Some of us are meant to be peasants and workers, and that's okay. We weren't all kings in Africa. We ain't gonna be all kings over here.
And the kings were getting killed. It was spotted on.
But who was ruthless? Kings were ruthless. What's so grand about being a king? And it's like, but we got to uplift each other. Well, you can't uplift me with dishonesty. If I don't possess king traits, why do I want to be a king? That's what you want to be, and you're pushing your idea on me. If you want to be a king, that's fine. I ain't gonna tell you Grand Rising King because I'm just not finna do it. But I mean, there was a whole argument on my page about saying that, and I'm like, no. It's like if I call every woman a queen, how am I valuing my queen if I call every woman queen? Right. If I call every man king, then it loses its value because he said that to everybody, so it don't mean it don't. The person at work who man I love you. Yeah, they said that to everybody. It don't mean shit. Ask them for some of their sandwich, they don't give it to you. But yeah, we got to do better about picking who we get it from and avoiding definitions. Just be who you are and accept that and keep moving. But be a high value to yourself and shop in the stores that you can afford. Shop in the stores you can afford. Don't worry about what another woman thinks. If you ain't high value for her, to me, that's a sign. Then why worry about her? Move on. Stop shopping at Macy's. And go and go to Target or Walmart. We can't all shop at Macy's or these high price stores, but we don't want to accept that. And that's part of what's killing us. So we got to come up with these names to make up for our shortcomings. I can't do this, but I can whoop your ass. Just being able to whoop mine don't make you alpha male.
Right.
It just means you can fight better than me.
Right.
The richest, look at what is it? Bill Gates. A billionaire. Is he an alpha male? Hell, he got plenty of money. So if he want the title, he can afford to buy it. What is an alpha male by definition? And we don't know. Like I said, we'll put it what we wanted to put it when it suits us. When somebody says, that ain't what it is. But once you start doing the research, what's the important? Just be a good dude. Just be a good dude. And let life take care of itself. Me and you can be in the same room under the alpha male theory. There's some things when we start talking law and order where you're going to cede to me. I'm the one with the experience. When you start talking politics, I'm gonna sit down and let you talk. Because I'm a leader. You're a leader when? You can't be a leader if you don't know shit. You can't be. So shit. And if we're looking at the old definition, alpha males could all coexist because they only stood up when they were needed, not when they just felt like pounding their chest. You gave an example I told a long time ago. My first wife was a hell of a shot, much better than me. I can fight like a champ. She was a SWAT level sharpshooter. Okay. So if something happened we need shooting, I'm putting her ass in the front. She shoot way better than me. If I can touch you, I can shoot you. She can shoot you at 100 yards. I can't even see 100 yards.
Wow.
And one of the guys, if somebody come to our house, I'm getting the gun. But if my wife was a better shot, why would I get the gun? Why would I get the gun? She's a better shot. She can shoot money. I got a plan to make sure everybody else is safe. I got them. This is her. She's a better shot than me. Now, if he get too close, I'm the better fighter, hands down. But if he at the door and we got 60, 70 yards between us, hey, go on and put 2 centimeters. Let me see what you got. Let me see what you got. Hell, I can't even see that far. I might hit him in his toes or some shit. But again, the decision-making skills is what put us to the forefront, because if you know they're better at something than you, why are you trying to do it so you can be in charge? Being in charge is about being a leader. And it's about, hey, they better at this than me. Let them handle this. And I think a lot of self-claiming alpha males, they don't understand that theory. It ain't about always being in the front. It ain't about always being in the front. We're going to take a quick break. But remember, Dwayne Johnson got it in his thing that he can't lose a fight in the movies. See, when I found that out, I look at him a whole lot different. You can't lose a fight in a movie?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really? Really?
That's wild. Meanwhile, Denzel gets killed in all his.
You know, Denzel can take an ass whipping. Denzel can lose the woman. Denzel can lose his kids. You can't lose a fight in a movie. You really got that written into your contract?
That's
so,
crazy.
And you this big dude.
That's the wrestling stuff, though. Right.
That's that fragile male ego. We're gonna take a quick break as soon as I can find me another commercial, and we're gonna finish out with something else. Let me see. How do I do this? It's crazy. I'm still learning this. I got to teach you this too. So when I ain't here, because you know I ain't gonna be here in 2 weeks, right, brother? You know I ain't gonna be here, right? Yeah. I ain't gonna be here. 30 seconds. We'll be back. Is that 30 seconds? Are we back? All right.
30 seconds.
I was asked a question, and this is what we don't. Let me see here. Let me find the question. Somebody sent me a question. Why do we like fall into the same patterns over and over again, even though we see the red flags?
You know what it is? It's because, well, here's my theory on it. I don't know what anything is. My theory on that is, I always say, for the most part, we're choosing ice cream. So I like ice cream, right? Most of the people, and I'm assuming this is kind of in a romantic context, but it could be in anything, to be honest. But I'm gonna use the romantic scenario. I like ice cream, and in most instances, I'm just choosing different flavors of ice cream. The paradigm shift comes in place when I realize how bad ice cream is for me, and I say, you know what? I'm going to shift from the ice cream and eat fruit for dessert instead. And I don't know if it's something that's like in us psychologically that says I don't have to. There is no paradigm shift needed for me to make a better decision going forward, or to choose a different, or to choose something that could result in a different outcome going forward. And as long as when we don't challenge our thinking around a certain, thing, right? Or just use relationship as an example. When we don't challenge our thinking around it, we don't even think that we think we can just kind of just tease out certain things. The next person I'm with, they're gonna be they're gonna be soft spoken because the person I was with last, they were yellers, but both of them are disrespectful though. So you just chose a soft spoken disrespectful person, and so their disrespect doesn't ring as loud in your ears, and you'll find out that they're disrespectful in a totally different way, but you thought you did something different. So I think the work for most people, even when it's like picking jobs, I know for me, I probably in the last 5 years, I've asked myself, what kind of worker am I? Like, how would I manage myself? Because I know that there are certain habits I bring to every job I have. And some of those habits are good habits, and some of them are absolutely not good habits. And it's you reach a point where it's like, I can't put this on nobody. This is just like me, like this is just, and why am I showing up this way? And how can I show up a little bit different so I can get a different outcome? So I just think it's just like taking time, being patient with yourself and understanding, and the other thing is this too, ice cream is still good. Like it's not poison, right? You know, and so maybe sometimes it's not like let me trade the ice cream in for the fruit, but let me just not eat ice cream so much. You know, like let me not make ice cream like the main part of this entree, and we'll be. I could still, you know, we can still fare out kind of well. So it's, you know, just being mindful of that. I'll let you, you know, jump in. I use the Future in Russell Simmons comparison when I talk about we're all just choosing ice cream, and people think that Future and Russell Simmons are so starkly different. And my position on that is, if the same woman chose those men, then those men are not starkly different. They just have a starkly different presentation, and only Sierra knows those little nuanced spaces that worked for her the second go around. But I bet if I hung around Future and you hung around Russell Wilson, we both might find some similarities in them that will make them seem a lot more like on par with each other than society kind of like says it is. So,
and I think to start with your point, I'm gonna work my way backwards. Me and you can go out with the same woman. We can go out with two of the same women, and we're gonna both get a different one because we're different. They're gonna have different versions, and people don't seem to get that, especially when you use the Russell and different men bring out different things in different women. That's never gonna change, never. And we have to start accepting that fact, because I'm sure as we've dated, and this is one of the things I always look for when I was with a woman, which woman motivated me to be better, or which one I just think about sexually, because that differentiated how I treated them.
Man, I'm the same way.
And so it's like, oh, you don't inspire me to be better, because that ain't something I can do for myself. I've met women who had me thinking about the future. I've met women who had me thinking about them naked, and that was as far as I got. So that part of it is there. And to the question that was asked, why do we do the same thing even though we see the red flags? I think this is an introspective thing, and I talk about it all the time. You have to know personally who you are and where you are. It makes life easier to deal with. When I knew that I was emotionally unavailable, I would sleep around. I didn't care the quality or the character of the woman. I just wanted sex. But I knew that none of them had potential with me, which is why, you know, it's funny that I actually met a few good women. And one of them just started talking to me recently. And she was like, you know what I like about you? I appreciate you telling me that you meant me no good. Even though I was crazy about you, you were honest about who you were. And it hurt my feelings at the time because I thought I could make you a better man. But you told me that you weren't going to be that. And it took me to grow up to understand that you were being truly honest about who you were.
That's true. That's true care.
Right. But at the time, I wanted you to be this, and you told me you weren't there. And I gave her a choice. You can stay with me if you want to, but all we're gonna do is this. There's no future for me. There's no future. Where my head is right now is not on relationships. It's on sex. That's it. It went
right.
And once we understand this will explain why we can pick the wrong woman continuously. We want the sex. We ain't looking for nothing long term. So I see these red flags, but society says that for men and women both, it's more so for women. I can't just say I want her for sex. I'm supposed to tell a lie and be politically correct. Because sometimes women just want us for sex, but now we call them names. When, you know, it's funny, we had this conversation. We're the same creature. We're the same creature. And if we deal with science, this is where I got smart friends. Men are made of XY. Women are just XX, which means they're the only pure creature. Men are imperfect. We got two different genes. Women only have one, but they want the same thing. We are the same creature. Self-survival is our most basic instinct. Pleasure is another of our most basic instincts. Most of us want pleasure, except for the sociopaths, I think. So if women want pleasure and they find pleasure in sex, what would make them not want it? All women don't have sex for love or none of the other shit we tell ourselves. So when we get into this thing where we make And I guarantee if most of us men, I'm talking about now, even women, if we go back and look at some of our failed relationships, especially some of the ones we stayed in too long, and I ask, how was the sex? And I get that smile.
Amazing.
You stayed for the sex. You knew the relationship wasn't shit. Y'all didn't get along. Y'all couldn't talk about nothing. But for 3-4 months, the sex was the shit. But then once the sex got normalized, what did y'all have? Y'all didn't like each other. Y'all didn't like talking. There was no conversation. There was no mental stimulation. And it's like, well, shit. Because the older you get, and it sucks, you still have great sex. It just becomes, it's not in your top 2 anymore.
Yeah, it means something different. And it serves something different. I was telling a buddy of mine, my fiance is this is the first woman I've been with where damn near everybody that I have introduced her to that's been around her has said, you found somebody different this time. She's different from what you normally pick. And they weren't talking about looks. They were talking about just how she shows up. And now I know where there are some similarities. I definitely know that. But I had to realize that there are some areas that I was, and this wasn't even about like sex. This was just about there were just some areas that I had to deprioritize because I realized that I was fetishizing some aspects. Like I am, and there's no way to say this without it coming off a certain way, and I'll just clean it up. I am very, very much drawn to intelligence in the traditional way that we think of intelligence. So I have typically gone for not even gone for, I'm not going on a website, but I've typically, had the most chemistry with women who have they papered up, they degreed up, and they can teach me something specific about their background. Like they're passionate about this thing, and that has translated into a kind of sexual attraction for me, even over the aesthetic. I mean, of course I got to be physically attracted to you, but I remember the first time I kind of broke away from my norm was my college girlfriend, and it was the first time my homeboys clowned me for being with somebody, because they were like, dude, this is now what are you doing? But she was super duper smart, and this, I was like 19, you know what I mean? And I was at that before her, I was accustomed to being, with certain kinds of women, typically with the women that you don't get the attaboy from, I see you Playboy, like those type. And so with her, it was totally different. She was the first, she just didn't fit the mold that people expected. And, but from that experience, I kind of upheld book smarts, I thought that was noble. That was oh, that's not shallow. I'm not being shallow because I'm not going after sex. But then you realize that, number one, that stuff can be weaponized against you anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like this. It's a superpower, and it can be used for good or evil. And if the character does not any talent or gift or strength that is not kind of surrounded with character can end up becoming a weapon against you. And so what I have chosen over and over again, whether it's in different packages or maybe even similar packages as far as the looks, but definitely I know one thread for sure has been like that. Just, you got to just that heavy encyclopedia, I hit it with me. First of all, I didn't even meet my fiance under that kind of arrangement. It was purely, I met her at the store. I ran into her at the store, and it was purely primal. It was like I was like, damn, you're fine as hell. Like it was just that. It wasn't.
Right.
There was no slow burn. There was no like I'm getting to know her based off her post, and it was just it was primal, just man, woman, uga chaka. And the thing that attracted me to her was her spiritual intelligence. It was her emotional intelligence. She is intelligent. But she's not going. She got some of the same books I got. She ain't gonna sit up and talk to you about the 6 greatest political shifts in American politics. She don't really give a shit about that. But a few months ago, we were at a Mexican restaurant, and I had taken a little piece of something I shouldn't have taken. Took a little bit too much, and I didn't realize I had collapsed. I got not collapsed. I had gone unconscious at the table. And I woke up, but didn't know I was. I thought I woke up not thinking I was already out. I was consciously awake, but I didn't realize that my body was still slumped over, and all I heard was this woman praying for me. And in that moment, it didn't matter that she had never, or not never, but we never talked about up from slavery. It's like right. I used to have like this dumb rule where like I would ask you, have you have you read these particular books? That is so shallow. You be thinking that you're being like, I'm different because I'm not, going after her body. But you can sexualize and fetishize anything about somebody. Right. And that was my thing. And you can kind of develop a level of like self-righteousness around it too, because, even if people can say, well, they can judge the looks, you can be like, well, I'm better than you all because I'm going, but no. And actually, if I'm being real, real myself, I still like the looks now. Right.
Don't tell a lot.
Yeah,
it's still important.
It's still very important. And I ain't choosing, ugly ducklings that's just really smart. But saying that to say, I had this last kind of go of it, I had to really like just create some balance. And then that's where my actual friendships do come into play, because I would push back on the point you made about the male friendships and stuff, only because of my own personal experience. I do know that men in general do not have friendship circles as they get older, and they, as we get older, we tend to be less social, and women tend to be more social, and they live longer and all those good things. My friendship circles, I've had the same. I got about 150 years of friendship in my friendship circle rather. And so all of those conversations that I like to have about, remember that one time when we staged that march and I can have these conversations with them. She don't have to know about my Dr. King era. Like, she don't have to just be so versed in that she sees me as something that I ain't even that no more, for real. I just like the period. I liked what I was doing that time, but that's not me, right? That's not me today, and not putting the pressure on the person that you're with to be all things. Like, no, this thing has capacity for this. This is a 32-ounce pitcher. If I put 64 ounces into this 32-ounce pitcher, I'm gonna be disappointed, right? And it works the same way, the other way around. I don't check off, every single box. I don't have capacity to meet every single need. And even on her side, her people have said, "Damn, he done changed you. Like you." Her mama said, "You used to be a wild stallion. Now you're all tame and stuff. You're different, But I had to think about my thinking, and I had to be more. And this is not like there's no formula to this, because only time tells all of this stuff, right? But the more that I did that, it actually put me on the hook for my failures. I couldn't just, like the Jets just got rid of their coach. The Jets have not been good since Joe Namath. Like, so
in 20 years under this owner, this century under this owner.
Exactly. So, like, clearly that's a system. Like, that's a culture thing. They can put Bill Belichick and they're not gonna win no ring. And,
Right.
and I had to put myself on the hook for my own failure, you know. And even though there's context and there's detail, there's nuance in every situation, but you also, to your point, you know, maybe to the person who asked the question's point, you know, there are certain ways that I move in my relationships that get the outcomes that I've gotten. There are certain things that I just said I didn't think were as important, and because I didn't think that they were as important, I didn't choose, people or persons that was strong in areas I really needed them to be strong, you know, and then some of it's like, you know, what muscle are you willing to like build out a little bit more so that your person is not, if it is an area that they're not strong in, you don't carry resentment toward them. You know what I mean? Because then you compare, and it's like, wait, no, because we already know how all that stuff worked out. You know, so just being mindful, like being more mindful, I would say, that's been the biggest, you know, thing.
And this is one of those things, and I'm so glad you said that. This is one of those things that when I talk about the introspect and learning who you are, this is one of those things that we actually, in my mind, we have no control over. We don't know what we want. If you've never tasted a certain food, how do you know if you like it or not? You don't. So sometimes when we're in this whole dating paradigm, we're doing this, we don't know what we want from a woman until we see it. And then we know we want it. We know what we want from past experiences. And this is how I started learning to judge women, because dealing with them would make me want something different. You know, and I should tell, when I'm dating, and I was a serial dater once upon a time, when I found myself wanting to date less, when I found myself wanting to date other women less, that's how I knew I wanted to be with somebody, because I got options. So there's nothing I got to do, because if I'm only dating you, and this was just my own personal thing, when something goes wrong, I want something different, because that's just who I was. Mm-hmm. And I know that sometimes everything can always be good. But when I got a bunch of different options, and even though things are going good over here, I still want to be with you. See, now I can start eliminating, because now I know it's you. It's you. Right. But it's something that you're doing to me. And this was how I knew what women I wanted to have long-term relationships with. Mm-hmm. Who is it that motivated me? Who is it that I could sit around and do nothing with, that I didn't have to entertain? Mm. And then those things like, damn, why am I, you know, I was dating other women, and I couldn't wait when Trina was in Syracuse. I couldn't wait to get home and talk to her. Mm. And I knew then I don't want to date these other women anymore. And it was nothing she did, because nobody can make you do these things, which is what people try to say. Yes. Oh, no, you can't make. It's something that's going to come organically. When I would venture to say, the more you hung around your fiance, the less, even though you still see beautiful women in Atlanta, you see beautiful women all the time. Your thoughts become shallower and shallower about them, because you don't want to take them out of them. You just want to go sleep with them, because you want to go home. And, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, it's funny. I would tell my son, people like, quit telling him that. Listen, get you a good looking woman. Don't let nobody tell you different. Every woman is going to make you mad. You're going to argue with them. And I don't care how y'all take this, it is what it is. When you argue with an ugly person and you're trying to tell yourself why you should go back, you see how ugly they are. What's the point of making up? What is the point? I said, you know, this is, it is what it is. Oh, they're a good person. Whatever. When I wake up, I don't see good people. I see this. This is what I see. When we go to the mall, I see this. There's no, oh, look at her. Oh, I bet she's a good person underneath. Who? I ain't that good. Hey, I'm still a work in progress. You know, I used to tell my women, hey, if we get into an argument, please be the first thing I'm gonna do is turn around and hit you in the back of the head, because I'm not gonna mess up that pretty face. I'm not gonna mess up that pretty face.
And listen, see, the reason why I'm an ass man is because when you are walking away, I need to have a compelling reason to tell you not to. And what better way to do
it? And that's why I say, you know, we have to be true to ourselves. And most of the time, we just don't get it until we get somebody who pushes that theory from us. And because we can sit there and try to make it happen. But if you ain't feeling from them, it ain't gonna happen. It's just not. And it's like, man, you know, I didn't know I like pasta to Trina. And like, my favorite food was hamburgers and hot dogs. She make a hell of, But if something happens to her and she gone, I may meet somebody who makes a great meatball or whatever.
Right.
You have to deal with what you know, and you can't miss what you don't know. So it's like they say, well, what are you looking for in a woman? Well, all you got to go on is past experiences. But if you meet a woman who brings something totally different, you never knew you liked that before because you never encountered it before. So it's hard for us to say things that we truly don't know. We have our base expectations, as you know, when me and Roy talked about, we did a show on preferences versus priorities. There's some things that you know that they got to have. These are your priorities. These are non-negotiables.
Right.
Your preferences are negotiable, but they gotta have your base priorities down. And if you don't write them down, you'll keep negotiating with yourself in your head. Because this was a thing that a lot of women did. If you don't want to smoke, why are you dating a guy that smoke? If this is a priority, then you got to say, hey, they're just for sex. Anything else means you're lying to yourself. But you got to write it down. I will not date a smoker. Don't get it twisted. I will sleep with you. I will not date you. It's just not going to happen. I don't date women who wear too much makeup. I like wearing suits and ties. If you wear a bunch of makeup, I can only wear my suit one time before I got to go to the cleaners. Where if I date a woman who don't wear a lot of makeup, I get to wear it 4 or 5 times for her because I ain't hanging around smoky events. But every time you put your head on my shoulders, got makeup on it, my good mood is just agitated. This is one of them things. I met a nice girl. She worked for Mary Kay, and clearly she advertised their product. I thought you were a hugger. Do you realize how much makeup you got on and this is a white shirt? No, I can't do this.
Right.
But these are little things that when we're being instructed, we learn about ourselves. What do I want you for? And even like what you said, we can meet you on one level and I can keep promoting you. It's one of the best things about relationships. I ain't gonna start nobody here. I start everybody off right here. I like you. I want to sleep with you. Because if I can't have dirty thoughts about you, there's nothing that's gonna happen. Nothing. I talk to relationship experts. I talk to a bunch of people. I ain't no coach or nothing. But you can't tell me from my personal experience that sex is the answer to a lot of arguments. It's just the answer. It will cure a lot of what's wrong.
Because it's communication. It's communication.
You know? And sometimes there's nothing to communicate other than that primal urge, which is always in us. And sometimes we don't know how much we miss. And you know what? I'm going to make it better. It ain't that we miss sex. It's that we miss sex with that person and we need to reconnect with them. But we don't know it's sex until we're there. But it's just we've been apart too long. I just need to reconnect. I don't know the words to say. Hey, can we have reconnection sex? But that's what you need. Then once
we
you
call
got
it
that
inspired. We call it inspire in this house.
Yeah, but now you got the pheromones going, all the feel good stuff coming out. Then you can have a conversation because that stress that you didn't know that was there has been lifted from one simple act. And it's like, oh, because now I can speak freely without all this tension in me because I don't know what the tension came from. It could have been work. It could have been from a ton of other things that we haven't identified. But that let it out. Now we can talk. And you know what? If it was good, I'm too tired to even raise my voice. But I still got the issue I could talk about now. But I'm tired, baby. So I can tell you this. And but it's one of them things. It's like, oh, you act like sex is on thing. I ain't never said that. But if I don't have dirty thoughts about you, even when I'm upset, I can't go back on them dirty thoughts to help bring me down. So I'm still agitated. But how am I gonna come down when I'm looking at you? You're ugly. I'm sorry. You're comically attractive. I think that's the word I was told to use, so I don't get in trouble. You're comically attractive. No, it won't work for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's a new one.
Yeah, because I ain't supposed to say the U word. I get in trouble for saying that. So comically attractive. Okay. But I think some of us we make the same mistakes over and over again. One, because we know how they're gonna end up. And if you don't want to be in a real relationship, if you just want the sex, what you got to lose? Man, y'all know they weren't no good. Your friend's gonna give you a pass because she wasn't shit nowhere. She was for the streets. But that's all you wanted for was a street value. So some of the mistakes we make repeatedly are intentional. We just can't say that up front because somebody's judging us. And sometimes we don't want to be judged. If we're being honest, sometimes we don't. Sometimes there are certain people you do care what they think about you. And it's okay. But sometimes that's all it is like, oh, what's up, Ty? Hey, Melinda, what's going on? So, and sometimes that's all it is. And women do it, men do it. So it ain't a one-sided thing. Because again, we are the same exact creature. We want the same things. It's just politically correct for men to say, "Oh man, I just had to show my wild oats." But in this game of life that we play, women got the same urges. We've had women who called us up, they just wanted something. We know they don't want no relationship. We just don't want to admit that. And it's the reason
God gave them 6,000 nerve endings for a reason.
And it's a reason, and we have to accept this, and we have to learn ourselves and stop following what social media says when it's trying to shame us into believing we got to be a certain way. The facts are the facts. We got 6,000 nerve endings. Somebody said that man's most basic instinct is procreation. I said, dude, stop lying. Our basic instinct is self-survival first. Procreate. If procreation was a basic instinct, we wouldn't sleep around. We would only sleep with women who were ovulating. We don't, because it's not a basic instinct. We do it for the pleasure. Please believe that. If it was a woman's basic instinct, she would only have sex when she was ovulating. Nobody waits for that. Nobody, in general, nobody waits for that. We do it for those 6,000 nerve endings. We do it for the pheromone dump. We do it for all those other reasons. Sex is just a byproduct. Because most people have sex, pregnancy is not the norm for most time we've had sex.
No.
But again, you have to accept facts for facts and stop lying to ourselves about, just say you don't know. Just say you don't know and keep moving. Because these are the facts. These are the facts. It's pleasurable to us, like it is gorillas, our cousins, who have sex not to procreate, but they have sex for power. But animals that only have sex to procreate don't have sex year-round. They only do it when the lion comes around. He can he kills off the other cubs first. That puts her in heat. It's a process. That's why the lion, Yeah, that's why outside lion has to kill all the cubs, because as long as she got the cubs, she won't go in heat.
Interesting.
So that's why that's the first process. And when it works like it works, we understand this and we can stop saying this crazy stuff. Because in the dating process, as early as when we were 15, 16, some of y'all fast ass started at 14. When we're in the presence of the opposite sex, and I ain't knocking same-sex people, when you're in the presence of whoever turn you on, you're not thinking about, wonder how many babies we can have. You're not thinking about that. Once you know better, you're thinking about baby making, but you don't want the end result. You don't want the true, you don't want the 18-year result. You want that 26 minutes from now result. That's what you want. You want the happy ending. Right. Because we're built for pleasure. But we'll say, oh, we got to do this. Our men don't want kids. I can't find too many men don't want sex. All women don't want kids. I can't find too many women that don't want sex. It's not about procreation. It's not about that. But it sounds good. But you got to be introspective and know who you are. What's up, Ty, Melinda? Hey, man, Melinda's she's a Falcon fan. And, I ain't going to.
She on cloud nine right now.
Yeah, but she might as well be in the middle of the storm because that crash is coming. But I'm going to let her have that little bit. She came and joined, hey. And so, yeah, that's what's up. So, man, what is it? It's 7:56. So you got any parting shots there? Hold on. Before I let you do this, because you be cheating me. In 2 weeks now, you got this, right? So we're going to set up, because this going to be, even though it's going to be called Random Thoughts, because I'm going to do the header for you. It's going to be a whole Chasing Huxtable thing.
Okay.
A whole Chasing Huxtable thing.
Okay.
So I want you to prepare for this so we can start putting it out there. And then I'm going to get the thing, because like this is on my pages, I want you to, we need to start sharing this on your page so people can get ready for you to start doing it. So I'm gonna get your stuff so you can do that. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk online because I did have some questions on like how you get that set up.
Yeah, we're gonna talk after the show.
Yeah.
So what you got for me? Closing shots.
Just be true to yourself, man, and stay safe. and all the craziness we got going on. I always say this: find the eye of the storm. In this case, very quite literally, but find the eye of the storm, because whatever that storm is, it's gonna be there. Find the eye of your storm. So like that.
And for the people in Florida, man, it's something crazy. When I listen to some of the things, man, and have y'all watched this? They're telling you, man, I don't know who y'all pray to, what y'all believe in, but sometimes, and I ain't religious, but there's a section in the Bible that talks about discernment. When the leaders are telling you to leave or die, when the leaders are telling you, if you're going to stay, get a magic marker and write your name on your leg. I don't know why they don't tell you to run. I don't know. I mean, this is why I won't move to Florida. It's a nice place to visit. But when I found out you can't even get renter's insurance anymore, you can't get renter's insurance in Florida because of these hurricanes. So everything that you got to value is irreplaceable, truly. And it sucks, but y'all got, man, I hope y'all got friends other places, and I wish y'all well. But man, y'all just had Helene last week, and somebody's like, oh, it ain't that bad. Listen, you just had Helene last week. So if you survived Helene, why are you pushing it? Because no matter what you had that got you through Helene, it's been weakened. It's been weakened greatly. Yeah. What's at your home that you can't be gone for a week? What do you think somebody's going to steal? Take it with you. And if they sell it at Best Buy or Walmart, leave it. Grab your photo albums, grab your bank books, and you really should need them. Grab your phone, because that's probably where all your information is, and get the hell on. Get the hell on. This is real, people. So we're gonna be back again in what is it, 6 days and 23 hours and a minute and some change. As always, I had fun with y'all. I got my man Theo here. He's showing his face. So right now, the feds ain't looking for him. We won't know what's gonna happen next week. But if y'all got questions, comments, or concerns, or if you got a subject you want us to talk about, hit me up. If you got my phone number, shoot me a text, but inbox me, whatever it is y'all want to talk about. If y'all know Theo, same thing. We're open to discuss almost anything. And if you want to be a guest, all I'm going to say this about being a guest. I need to know what you're passionate about. I don't need you on here just so you can get some FaceTime. Tell me what you're passionate about. Because if I have you as a guest, the show is going to be about you and your passion. And, we like to have uncomfortable conversations. So we're going to push you. I'm going to probably push a little bit more because I'm old and I can get away with it. Theo's still trying to be politically correct sometimes, but I'm going to get him past that. But until next week, y'all know what it is, right? Peace, popcorn, and chicken grease. And we out. I'm going to call you, Philip.
Okay.
All right. And